them in terms of the system is it makes it difficult for the device or the system to interpret the touch event. So as their finger is being drawn or tapped on the screen, what does that mean? What does the child intend to do? And some of those interaction challenges make it really hard for us to determine that. So what the whole overarching goal of my work is to design and build systems and algorithms that can better understand the target user's input behavior characteristics and then build automated recognizers and systems that can interpret them. So for example, we may find that special purpose recognizers for children are necessary in order to recognize the gestures that they're making. And just to show an example, here are some examples of kids and adults making the same gestures, and these kids were 7 to 11 for these pictures. And any recognizer that's trained on the neat, orderly input that we see from the adults is going to fail miserably, and we've shown that in our work when confronted with the kids' gestures. So the MAGIC project lifecycle follows roughly this user-centered research process. First, we're engaged this first year in studying, trying to understand our users, really studying their input behaviors in a variety of contexts. Then using that information in our second year, which is upcoming, to design and develop interactive systems or algorithms or adaptive layers, however that actually may come to pass, that can take those user needs into account. Now that we understand our users, we can use it to build smarter software. And then lastly, of course, evaluating and then iteratively redesigning as we see how these do or do not provide real-world benefit to kids trying to use these interactions. So we're currently in the understanding phase of MAGIC, and that's the focus of the work I'm talking about in this talk. It's important to point out that unlike many of the great and inspiring design and participatory design projects we've been hearing about at IDC, this is really not a design talk. This is really focusing on an empirical study that, from which we can understand some of the fundamental underlying input behavior. So how do they actually touch the screen? And that we can use those to derive design implications that can then be considered during co-design. And in fact, that's the plan for us in our second year, is to make use of some of these, doing those types of activities. So in our prior studies, just to give you an overview, you can see all our papers at the MAGIC website, magic.wordpress.com, and you can download all our PDFs. But for gesture recognition and input from kids, what we have seen so far is a couple key points that kind of led us to this study. Kids do tend to make gestures differently than adults, and their gestures are recognized less accurately than those made by adults. And based on these findings, we started seeing a need to develop specific recognizers for children's gestures. So this led us